My 27F boyfriend, 28M, of 7 years, wants to take a 1-year-long break. Hi. I'm sorry for my spelling as English is not my first language. Me, 27F, and my BF, 28M, have been together since we were 20 years old, and for the most part our relationship was pretty good. We can communicate pretty well our wants and needs, so it's been a very healthy relationship. A couple of days ago, I noticed something was bothering him and I asked. He said he doesn't feel as good as he used to. He's not okay with where he is now in his life. He doesn't like his job, his economics, his life basically. The only thing he said is good in his life is me, and that doesn't make him feel fulfilled. We've been talking nonstop this past few days, also we have cried too much. At the beginning I was scared because I didn't want the relationship to end, but the more we talk the more I feel I don't deserve this situation. I know it's not a me problem, it's him, his life, his goals. I cannot think for him, I can't be happy for him. I'm exhausted. At the end of every conversation he ends up telling me that even though he wants to discover himself, the only thing he's sure is that he doesn't want to live without me, but then the next morning he wakes up confused with what he wants again. He's came up with this idea of take a 1-year-long break so he can find himself and then come back to me. I honestly think that's awful, and I told him that I love him so much and probably in a year I will still love him the same, but I don't deserve that. I won't be sitting with my arms folded just waiting. I'll probably resent him a lot, so that won't work for me. If he stays and commit to work things out in therapy, and if he leaves it's done. He said the most important thing for him is my happiness, and I deserve a concrete answer of what his choice will be. He wants time to think about it, like a month. But now I'm asking myself, what do I want? Honestly, him pulling this stunt destroyed somehow a little of my trust in him, so I don't know if now should I leave either way. User comments. User 1, if he wants to be free, let him be free. You're right. You don't deserve to have to sit there in anxiety for a month while he teeters. And if after 7 years he needs that long to think, I wouldn't want it with him anymore either. User 2, I just don't get the logic. Everything ain't wrong in his life except you, so he wants to throw you out the window too? Tons of people improve their job, finances, and quality of life while they're in a relationship. It can even be helpful to have a for support during so much change. Why does he see you as a barrier to a happy life rather than an enabler? User 3, breaks don't work. Healthy couples work through their problems together. Your instincts are correct, he doesn't get to have his cake and eat it. Either he stays in a relationship with you or he breaks up with you and you have no obligations. Update. I just logged into this account I forgot about and saw some people asking for an update. It's safe to say, my life did an 180 degrees flip. Once again English is not my first language and I'm on mobile. Long story short, we broke up. Now, if you guys want to know what happened, get comfy. All the people who said he was cheating on me was right by, I didn't realize it up until June, 4 months after my first post. We had long and hard discussions after he said he wanted to leave. We both cried a lot because of that. A month later it was all said and done, we were going to break up and he was going to move away to a place near his workplace, like 1.5 hours from the city. I said that I loved him and he asked me that if he came sooner or later back I would take him back with open arms and I said maybe, but wasn't sure. I helped him pack his stuff and he left. That day I felt my world was crashing down. I cried my eyes out for like a week and then something suddenly snapped and I was sick of the self-pity, so I started to build my life back up again. 3 weeks after he moved, he texted me that he made a mistake and he wanted to come back. I said I didn't want that, so the answer was no. Next morning he texted me again saying he lost the place he was staying and he really needed to come back, that he didn't have anyone to provide him shelter, so I took him in. He stayed a couple of weeks and told me he wanted to work on the relationship, but I was very resentful of him and everything we talked I treated him poorly, but then internally regretted it because I didn't want to be an awful person, I just wanted to be in peace. After a month, I told him he couldn't live with me anymore and that he needed to move out of my place, and so he did a month later. We lived together a total of 2 months. After he left, I started to go out more and meet new people. I got a couple of hookups with some guys, and all started to look bright again. One day I bumped into his boss and start chatting with him, and he told me he was glad I was better and that he found weird my ex would want to date a coworker of him, that he advised him against that but he did it anyways. That set an alarm bell for me. Coincidentally, the very next day I was at a party and bumped into a mutual friend, but more his friend than mine, and engaged in a conversation for hours. Later, and when we were both drunk, he let slide that he knew my ex was cheating on me since November of last year. Now with the details, I called a third person, a friend of him from college that wasn't on speaking terms with my friend since January, and asked why they had that fallout. He told me he didn't want to indulge on cheating and that's why they argued. I kept that information to myself. A week later, my ex called me to talk about a debt he has to pay me back, and I told him that I knew what happened and he denied it all. A month go by and my company sent me to the north of the country to work for 1.5 months. During that period, my ex called me once a week to cry about how much he missed me and how his life was a mess without me. I didn't reply or answer but couldn't block him since he owed me a lot of money. I came back to my state and started seeing exclusively one guy that was originally a hookup, but feelings started to come out. My ex found out and started to panic again. Now, one thing I didn't mention is that the girl he cheated on me with is now his official girlfriend, so I told him that if he kept on calling or texting me, I would tell that girl he's saying he doesn't want to be with her and her kids. So now I feel happy, happier than I was before, and didn't realize it. User comments. User 1, well, firstly, you are never going to see that money he owes you, and secondly, send his affair partner everything and tell her to make him stop contacting you as you are done with his cheating and dollar. I can't believe so many people knew he was cheating and no one told you. User 2, text him and ask him to talk about his repayment plan to you. Talk about how much he borrowed and what it was for. Get him to admit the amount he owes. This is your goal, him admitting he owes you a certain amount of money and he knows you expect him to pay it back. Make sure that this conversation is written. Email would be even better if you think he'll read and respond to an email. Once you have that in hand, you can take him to small claims court. User 3, it's good that your life has improved. I think it's doubtful that he'll ever repay you. Unless there's any concrete evidence that he intends to, you should probably proceed on the basis that the money is lost. If you'd block him with the money out of the equation, you should probably just block him. Maybe make one final demand for at least partial repayment.